We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Ludicrous Report, better known as TLR. This is episode 3, and there is so much to talk about. I am one of your co-hosts, Joey Karni, host of the Angle Podcast, and alongside me is the Demon Diva, the Diva Incarnate. She is Issa. She's got so many nicknames because she's so great at what she does. I'm so excited to.
No, it's because I have like 10 personalities, Joey. Come on.
From your Twitter this week, I've been seeing Bad Bunny, White Rabbit. So there's a lot of different things you're going for. So I'm all in for it. I think it's great.
Thank you. I hope you had a fantastic week. I'm excited to talk about wacky news.
Yeah, and everyone who's listening or filling in right now, the Ludicrous Report, TLR, will be live every Tuesday, 3 p.m. right here on the Know Your News channel. And if you can't remember it, you can just note somewhere that Tuesday is Taco Tuesday. So get your tacos, sit down, and enjoy some celebrity news with us. There's so many headlines right now that I think are hysterical. But before we get into any of that, I thought it would be a good idea to send our thoughts and prayers to everybody who's been affected, by the Hurricane Ian. I know it's been a little time since it's passed already, but seeing all the videos and the clips of everybody who's pretty much lost everything, even people who've lost, not everything, but just in general, like it's a sad time to see all that happen.
It is a sad time to see it happen, especially so close together to what happened here in Puerto Rico. We just had the president here yesterday assessing the damage here in Puerto Rico. I can relate to what these people are going through. I saw some of my friends in Florida that are still kind of like stuck in their house because of the floods. Like it's just been crazy, and I'm looking forward to hurricane season just being over.
Yeah, so hopefully everybody listening and people who are affected by that can be listening and get some fun and some entertainment out of what we're going to be talking about today. So to start things off, there is an article that I saw that really stood out to me, and I thought, man, this is something that needs to be talked about because I've never heard of anything like this happening ever before. So two fishermen, their names are Chase Kaminsky and Jay Runyon, I believe. They were caught red-handed cheating to win nearly $29,000 in a fishing competition. And now they are in trouble with the law. And let me explain to you what they did. So this fisherman competition, obviously, they go by the size of the fish and the weight of the fish. Winner gets I guess it's like $29,000 or $30,000. They were so desperate to win that they cheated by stuffing their fish with weights.
Oh my God. Can I just tell you that when you first told me like the headline, can I just tell you the first thought that came to my mind about how you cheat in a fishing competition? Like I thought they were using like filet mignon as bait, some more fish. Like instead of using a worm, they were using some prime meat to attract more fish.
Imagine, like, why is your rod, like, why is it hanging so low? Like, oh, I got steak on there. Like, I just...
catch a freaking shark. So I just want to tell you right off the bat, that was my first train of thought. Is like, well, the first thing I thought about is like, how do you cheat in a fishing competition? And then I'm like, do you use something different as bait? Yeah. I will say the weights thing never crossed my mind until you mentioned it.
No, you got to be like extremely adamant on winning. Like you have to just, and I don't even know. Cheating, regardless, is not the right thing to do, especially, when you have $30,000 on the line. But I give them credit for like attempting that because it's very creative and it's not something I would have thought about myself.
Joey, you just said cheating is not good, but I give them credit.
I'm trying to weigh out both sides because like it is a really creative. It's like that teacher in school, like she gives a test or he gives a test and a student gives back, like they ask like a technical question and the student gives back like a creative answer and it's completely wrong, but like you got to give them credit for like attempting to give that answer, like.
Yeah. Have you ever cheated at something and got away with it?
Yes.
Okay. Give us an example, Joey.
So in school, we would, on tests, I don't know. There was so many different ways we would do it. We'd like write the answers on the desk, or notes on the desks. I've seen some people do it where they put it like on their wrists or they put answers because for some reason, each period, like each class period would have the same test. So people from previous
Yeah, I will
classes
give you the answers.
would just
I used
pass
to
the
do that,
answers.
and then but I will sell the answers because I like to
Oh,
make
look
money
at
on
you,
everything that
Miss
I do.
Entrepreneur.
Also, because I can tell you all the things that I did in high school to make money, you will laugh. But
Oh man.
I will write down the answers on my leg because in Puerto Rico, even public schools, we use uniforms, so the girls wear skirts. So
Ah.
I would always write it on my leg, lift up my skirt a little bit, and there it is, all of the answers. I was
I've
an
seen.
honor student. I don't know what I would have been without that
Oh,
cheat
look
code.
at you. Overachiever. Now I've seen people like wear flip-flops or like sandals and like write it on their feet or like do something like towards the ground where they're like looking down and you can't really see anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, wacky stuff. But this article, what's really funny about it, first off, it took place in Ohio. And it says the prosecutor's office in Ohio tells TMZ, my staff will be meeting with officers from the Ohio Department of National Resources today regarding this matter. I take all crimes seriously, including attempted felony theft at a fishing tournament.
Listen, as somebody that, I was living in New York City, now I'm living in Puerto Rico, where the crime rate is not very friendly. It must be nice to live somewhere where this is what police is worried about.
Right?
Okay, good for Ohio if that's the biggest crime that they have to worry about.
And it's major news.
Yeah.
Did you hear what happened at the fishing tournament?
Listen, I lived in the Midwest for a period of time. This is why none of this shocks me.
Oh man. No, I honestly, I saw this one, and out of all the other like articles and news I saw, I was like, this is one that like is the epitome of this show. Like, this is what we're supposed to be talking about. Like, stupid, funny, not necessarily celebrity news, but it is celebrity because it's a very well known fishing tournament, I guess.
Were they like feeding the fish the weights? Like,
no, so they would catch them, and I guess I don't know if they would kill them or what they were doing. I don't know from the picture. I don't want to get too graphic with this, but from the picture that I saw in the article, the fish were cut open, like from the stomach, how you normally do it. Right. And that's the picture they showed. So I don't know if they were stuffing them from there or putting them through their mouths after they caught them. But they put weights in all their fish, and apparently the weight of each fish was double of what it normally was, like what it was naturally. So they doubled the weight of all their fish.
Maybe they would have not made it so obvious. They would have probably gotten away with it because every fish like weighing that much. Like, why not put like a 1/2 pound weight here, 3 pound weight here, so there's like some kind of variety,
Yeah, I don't know how they went about. Like, the judges probably had to be like, "Oh all your fish are so heavy and like they're perfect and they all weigh about the same. Like, how did you? What area did you guys fish? Like, I don't know. I don't even know how that even what the conversation is, how that comes up, or how you get caught doing that. Like,
I love it. I still like my idea of using like prime steak meat as bait. I think that would have been better for them.
I think that would have been fantastic. All that money you'd be winning just be putting towards steaks for the next trip.
Now they're gonna have to use. Oh well, they didn't even win it. I was gonna say now they're gonna have to use it on a lawyer.
Hey, seriously, now they might have freaking jail time.
Felony. Imagine the conversation when you're getting a job. Right, They did the background check and they'll be like, well, something showed up in your record. You have to sit there and explain to your future employer how you stuffed a fish with weights.
Yeah. What did you do exactly? I cheated in a fishing tournament.
We can't have that in this company.
No, can't have that. Can't have that. Felony. Major news.
God.
I wish we were living in a time where that was like the worst thing happening. Like,
me too.
Man.
Me too. Which is why I made my comment earlier. Like, bless their heart. If that's like the biggest thing they have to worry about, people should move there, apparently.
Just so bored, and the sheriff's just like sitting there sleeping at his desk, and he gets a call. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. Like something.
A full-blown investigation with like boxes of reports because they have nothing else better to do.
The lake or wherever they were fishing is all like caution tape off.
Crime scene.
Full crime scene.
Oh my God, I love this.
They're writing scripts to sell it to Law and Order. Yeah, we can go a little extreme with this. But.
Yeah, we can.
So moving on from this, I don't know how you can, but we're gonna try. So the second one is an article about a very well-known actor comedian that everybody, I guess, knows and loves, Pete Davidson. Everybody knows, or at least a majority of people know, I'm assuming, that he was in a relationship with Kim Kardashian. If you don't know who Kim Kardashian is, I'm sorry. But
Or good for you, depends on which side of the coin you're in.
Yeah. But yeah, so they were dating for quite some time. I think almost a year or so they were dating. Recently broke up 2 months ago or so. And throughout their relationship, I guess it was serious, at least for Pete Davidson, because he had tattoos that were focused on Kim Kardashian. So he had her children's initials tattooed on him. And he also had like on his neck somewhere, like it said, "My girl is a lawyer." And now he's getting those tattoos removed because they are no longer together.
I mean, are we surprised? I gotta tell you something. I saw the children initials. That kind of creeped me out a little bit. Like, why would you do that? Like, you only been dating her for such a short period of time.
Yeah.
These are somebody else's kids. And as far as we know, now we're not even going to get into Kanye West and things that he's done ever since this relationship happened, right? But as far as we know, Kanye is not a deadbeat dad. So it's not like you're coming in and taking this like fatherhood, like because Kanye has always made it clear that he wants to be there for his children.
Of course.
So I just had so many questions in regards to that specific tattoo. That my girl is a lawyer. Okay, it's fun, you know.
Yeah.
Do you have any tattoos, Joey?
I do.
Any tattoos about do you have any ex tattoos on you? No. See, that's the thing. I feel like I think relationships have gone on for a long time and people just don't make that commitment. And these guys have been dating for months but then again, he has a lot of tattoos and some people would they don't care. They tattoo whatever they want, whatever they feel at the moment. But I did hear that tattoo removal is a lot more painful than getting them. So now I'm
100%.
Now I'm a lot more careful with what I get because I do not want to go through a removal.
I just don't understand. Like, there's there's so many questions that go into this. Like, did he get Kim Kardashian's like kids' initials on him as a way to like go back at Kanye? Like, was this
that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Because, I mean, I know there's a lot of buzz around Kanye for what he was, saying about, Pete Davidson and all the Instagram posts and all this, the threatening stuff, really. Maybe like behind the scenes, there was like that kind of tactic where like he would tattoo Kanye West kids on like his initials on him and just kind of torture him in a sense. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but
I don't know. I don't know what the intention was behind it. Like you said, all I know is that I did follow this drama because whether you wanted to see it or not, it would show up anywhere that you logged into. And I just don't think like I get it because Kanye is just such an out there kind of person that everything that he does becomes news. But at the same time, I remember seeing Pete Davidson send him like the picture message, like, "I'm in bed with your girl," and this and that. So it was like, it felt like this was a two-way street, but we were only getting the news on what Kanye was doing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And honestly, like the idea of putting a tattoo like on your neck out of all places, like, "My girl is a lawyer."
Cody Rhodes about that.
Like, make a t-shirt, make merch, bro. Why do you gotta get like a tattoo that says like, "My girl is a lawyer"? Like, make a t-shirt, make a hoodie. Like, you're dating Kim Kardashian. Like, come on, throw it in the Skims line or something. Come on.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm not shocked by this. But like I said, tattoo removal is very painful. So people should just be in the lookout what you get tatted. Like, think about it twice. Yeah. Or at least get something that you can cover it easily.
Yeah. I respect the commitment, but like, make sure you're committed. Like, just make sure you're committed before you go. That's that next step.
Yeah, like, be like me. I'm committed to the Yankees and Bad Bunny because I have Yankees and Bad Bunny tattoos. So
there you go.
Stuck with them forever.
Oh, hell yeah, those are great. You can't go wrong with those tattoos. It's just
no, you can't.
No, but Kim Kardashian related, or "My girl is a lawyer," or someone else's kid's initials.
Are you forced to only date lawyers? Is there like a lawyer dating website that he can go on so he doesn't have to cover that one?
I wouldn't doubt that he got that tattoo removed. But if he didn't, Imagine he like created a platform just for lawyers to find love.
Yeah. Like I can only date a lawyer now, or like almost like Eminem, he could only date girls named Kim because he had Kim tatted on him.
Maybe this is the reason why they created tattoo removal, because restriction.
Yeah.
So the third article that I found, keeping it in the family, I guess, with the Kardashians, Kourtney Kardashian, who has recently married Travis Barker of Blink-182. They are, like I said, they are married now, but they live in separate houses. And some of the article was saying that like this is a modern way of marriage today.
Yeah, it is. I love it.
Yeah, and they're doing it for their kids because they each have like a big group of kids. I think Kourtney has like 3 or 4 kids, and the same with Travis. So like together they have a baseball team, so they said that they're doing that, keeping the houses separate so they feel comfortable and eventually build to a mutual house, which I can definitely see that being a positive. Like you don't want to throw your kids into like a situation that may make them feel uncomfortable.
Right.
But a lot of people are saying this is a new way, like a new modern way of marriage. So what are your thoughts on that?
I always said, and I know a lot of people always laughed at me because I always say the key to a successful relationship is, I used to say separate bathrooms because I don't have the kind of money that Kourtney Kardashian and Travis I don't have the kind of money that they have, right? So at least separate bathrooms. Like, I think like, I don't know, times have changed, and the idea like you were talking about are like modern day things. I used to live in the same building as my ex, for example, and it was almost like living together, but not really, and it was the best of both worlds. I really can't see how this would work out. I can also see how some people would think that that's not the way that a marriage works, but I'm very antisocial and I'm an introvert, and I just don't think anybody should be around the same person 24/7. Like that's just not normal. Don't you want a long time? Like that's just my take on things. Like maybe I enjoy being alone too much.
No, I'm really the same way, and I know like when I go out with friends and people, I'm just like, there's a certain point where I'm like, all right, I want to just go home.
Like, me after 5 minutes.
No one's coming over. Just like stay out. Like I'm going by, like leave me alone. Like you need to use space. Or maybe like if you do decide to live with somebody, like you can like have your own room, like in the house.
Yes.
It's your space. So I get it. And then again, like I know like a lot of people who are like old fashioned in a sense. They're like, how do you get married and not live together? Like I've had friends who have gotten married and they didn't live together, not for that reason, but like they just didn't live together. And I feel like in a sense you have to like to really get to know somebody, you have to live with them. Like
But in this particular case, even with the amount of kids that they have, and I personally respect that because it's like, how are you gonna bring these families together just so out of the blue, like boom, like let them get to know each other, and let's like slowly build up to that. I don't mind this, but again, I'm more modern thinking than a lot of people. I bet you if I go to my mom and share those news with her, she'll be like, that's outrageous, So
exactly,
to each their own.
Yeah, and I think the underlying thing here too, I didn't even mention this. They live in the same neighborhood, so their houses are not even that far away. So, I mean, kind of just like walk to your husband or wife's house. So it's not that.
Do you do the walk of shame in the morning? Even with your wife or your husband, you're still doing the walk of shame.
Walk of shame, and like with your kids, like.
Oh my god!
Oh, man,
taking the dog out for a walk and you wave at your wife like, "Hey,
hey, I'm gonna be over later. I just need my alone time."
Dinner at your house or my house tonight? Which one?
That honestly, now that we're talking about it more, I love that idea. Like,
I know
that's amazing for us introverts, or for us. I don't know.
Or like think about it, right? Let's think about somebody that's like super jealous, right? You're super jealous, and this person ends up falling asleep, and they're not responding to your text. Guess what? You just gotta walk down the street and go see what it is that's up. Yes. You don't have to sit there like going crazy trying to figure out what they're doing. Just walk over.
Oh man, no. That honestly, like the more that we're talking about it, I do see a lot of the reasons why people agree with it. Like I don't know. I don't know what I would prefer in a marriage. Like, do you have a preference? Like, would you prefer that, or would you want to live with somebody?
I don't want to live with anyone. I'd rather not live with anyone. But again, if it comes down to that, I love the idea of the separate bedrooms, separate bathrooms. Like get your own space, but at the same time, you're still there. I really think that that's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and for those who are watching and or in the chat right now, we kind of want to know, or we want to know, what you think as well. So you can, send a super chat. Let us know what you're thinking. We have a segment in the show called the Hollywood Hangout where we'll be focusing on you, focusing on the chat, and we'll be reading all your questions, comments, concerns, and all the super chats. So if you haven't already, get those super chats in. We'll be reading them, like I said, in a little while. And if you can't get your super chats in there, you can go to kynchat.com to donate outside of YouTube if you're not able to see the show live. And let us know what you're thinking. This is not just a two-person conversation. We want to chat with you as well. So get those chats in, get those super chats in, and we'll be glad to read them all in.
If you're catching a replay, we understand that we're in the middle of the day. Some people are working. They might not be able to watch us live. Leave a comment. Maybe next week we'll read your comment out in the air. So make sure that you leave a comment on our YouTube or tweet us and let us know what you thought about these topics after the fact.
Absolutely. So before we jump into the next topic, which I think is probably my favorite one out of all of them, just to get you guys a little excited, I did want to discuss some TV shows and things of that nature that we've been going through. I know the last couple of weeks, Lisa, we've been discussing different shows, like kind of before and after of watching. So before we do that, are there any shows that you have recently started watching, or anything that's like new that you've seen that have been viral?
So, you know which one I'm going to talk about. I'll save that one for the end because we discussed it last week. But I did watch The Real Ring Bling on Netflix, which I don't know if you remember when the teenagers were breaking into all of the Hollywood superstars. I loved it. I highly suggest, especially if you're like pop culture obsessed like we are. It was such a fun watch. However, you're still going to have 3 different stories and not know exactly what it is that went down. But it was still super exciting to hear it from the voices of the people that were part of it. And even some of the actors that their houses got broken into took place in this documentary. So that was a fun watch for me. I also ended up watching the John Wayne Gacy tapes on Netflix, which is one of the documentaries that I hadn't watched because Netflix saw that I watched Dahmer and they were like, "You want more serial killer? Here you go." Now, this one I really, really liked. I got a lot of information about the case that I didn't know before, which is what I told you was my issue with the Dahmer series. I thought the acting, I watched it like I told you I would. I was dying to watch it, but I knew I was gonna want to binge it, so I wanted to wait until I could sit down and like watch it in like one or two sittings. So I love the acting. I thought the guy that played Dahmer was excellent on this, and the guy that played his
Evan
father.
Peters, amazing.
Yes, but if you are a true crime junkie like I am, you probably didn't get a lot of news stuff out of this. However, if you're not a true crime junkie and you're watching this for the first time, I can see how some people will be freaked out that a person like this actually existed and that this is a true story that really happened. But they bent the truth here or there, but overall very well told. There's a lot of movies and documentaries about Dahmer, so it was very hard for Netflix to come out with something that will give us something we didn't know already.
Yeah. For me, it was really hard to keep like that balance between like enjoying the show and then remembering that this actually happened. Like, because I am like yourself, like a true crime junkie, and I love to watch these like horror films, like serial killer stuff. So like you're watching this all take place and you're like, oh, this is like a great storyline. And then you realize that this is actually real. Like there are families who lived through this. And you kind of have to find that balance.
There are families that are still out there. Like if you search some of the news that are coming out with this, is that families didn't want this to air because it's just reopening old wounds and things that they're going through. So I can understand why some of the families will be upset about it, because you're right, you're enjoying it, but at the end of the day, this really happened.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that I got out of it too, that like really, this kind of like was the horrifying part for me, at least. It wasn't like the murder and all the things that were happening. It was the fact that he seemed like such a normal person at times.
Oh, he was. Mm-hmm.
Where like the serial killer tendencies were that we normally see in different shows and in different scenarios were not there. Like
I don't know about that because look at people like Ted Bundy or like John
Yeah,
Wayne Gacy. Like you have
yeah,
people like Richard Ramirez. Now Richard Ramirez was a scream serial killer just from looking at him.
yeah,
Charles Manson, right? But there are people. John Wayne Gacy was giving jobs to young kids to come work at
yeah,
his construction company, and that's how. And these kids were just thinking, "I'm gonna make some extra money," and that's how he will find his victims. So I personally feel like I see your point because I
yeah,
just think like it could be anybody out there and you don't even
yeah,
realize it. Like he wasn't just like luring guys that were attracted to him. He was luring all kinds of people. A lot of them he was using money and people needed money, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But at the same time, it was like that's how normal this guy looked. And it's just crazy. You know what I was thinking, like talking topic here is like, have you noticed how now in the modern day, unfortunately, you see a lot of like shootouts, right? Like people going to places and shoot people. You don't see serial killers like this, and that is could be probably one of the benefits of the technology and the social media and all the ring cameras and all the stuff that we have today. Because I can't help but to watch this kind of content and think, do you think these people will be able to get away with that today? No way,
Yeah.
no way. It's just a matter of technology has really changed the way that some of these people with these kind of thoughts
Yeah.
kind of like go on about their crimes because you can't get away with that anymore. There's
Yeah.
cameras everywhere now.
Exactly. Think about it. Like if there was a camera on his building, like they showed throughout the show, like him luring guys into the building. If there were cameras anywhere in the building, they would see that people never left,
Yeah,
or at least figure out who exactly went in. So, I mean,
right.
the advancement in technology is a huge thing. But there were so many big topics like in this show as well, like racial injustice, homophobia, like different things that were touched on throughout the show. That
There was the LGBT tag issue that I told you made the news where people were upset that Netflix tagged it as an LGBT content in their platform and then they removed it because of the backlash. I personally, my own personal opinion here, I don't think they were wrong with that tag. Jeffrey Dahmer was gay. He was open about being gay, and a lot of
yeah,
like the things that he shared, if you watch his real life interviews, is that he always felt he wasn't going to be accepted by his family because of
yep,
the way that he was. So there was a lot of there was a lot of that. And you can go back and forward and talk about it. A lot of people talk about the kind of men that he targeted and killed,
yep,
but these are the men that he was attracted to. He said like the reason why he killed them is because he wanted them to stay with him, which is crazy because he's like, I'm just gonna kill you so you stay with me forever. Weird thought, but
yeah,
okay. But like he thought these men were beautiful to him, and he
yeah.
says that in his interviews.
Well, I also consume this show in a different way than like anybody else would. I think
Hmm.
I'm a '90s baby, so I didn't really grow up in the era of this being in the news. So
Right.
I wasn't necessarily aware. I knew the name of just from hearing it in different like pop culture references, like in songs or in different
Hmm.
movies or shows. I didn't know the full story of himself and what he did. So when this
Right.
show came out, I watched the show and then did the research to find out more about him as to what he did and what he was about and everything that happened. So like I kind of did it in the reverse form of what normal people I would say would, like knowing about him first and then watch the show. I watched the show
Yeah.
first, and
Yeah, I feel I wish I would have watched it from your perspective because
yeah,
knowing so much, I was nitpicking a couple of things that I should not be nitpicking, like the character of the neighbor. That character didn't exist. They kind of merged two characters in there. There wasn't somebody that smelled through the vents or heard things
yeah,
through the vent like that. Glenda Cleveland lived across the street, but she is the one that found the kid that the cops kind of gave it back to him. Like
yeah,
if you know too much, then you're gonna nitpick, right? And it's
yeah,
almost like I compared it last week to when you read a book and then watch the movie about the book, and you're just sitting there like, that's not how it goes. That's how I felt watching it.
yep.
But it was beautifully put together as far as the acting and the storytelling. It's just to the point that you forget at some points that this is a real story that really happened.
Yeah, and after that show, I mean, like, listen, it was a fantastic, well put together show. Obviously, the events that took place were real events, and that is like it's tragic, but it's like it almost makes you like it takes away the enjoyment of watching that type of show. So there's like a fine line of like where do you stand where like, oh, like I enjoyed this show, but it was real stuff that actually happened.
I was telling you off the air that I was searching it because I always like to see what people are saying on social media. And the first thing that I just kept finding was memes. And it was just like, when is it right to be memeing something? And it's not right to laugh about it? Like that's the one thing that the internet throws me off on. It's like the internet tends to make fun of like everything today. And like you said, it's like this really happened. We shouldn't be making fun of this, but it's a meme. Like there's a fine line with everything nowadays, it feels like.
And I've actually seen a lot of TikToks too. I don't know if you've seen this as well.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't
TikTok
yet.
of people like dressing like him, doing different things that resemble things that he obviously not the killing, but like making a mockery in a sense of these events. And I saw one in particular of I don't know the guy's name, but he's verified, and he did a whole like 2 or 3 episode TikTok thing where he said he dressed like him and he started acting like him, like drinking beer, being weird around his family. And they were like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you acting so weird?" And he recorded himself like literally going to bag roadkill, and he put it in the walls of his parents' room so they can start smelling something weird. And he watched the show with them first. The little series he did, he showed him watching the show with his family, and his parents were not fans of it. And then he started doing things like Jeffrey Dahmer to kind of like just, I guess, get content out of it. And it gets to the point where his parents call someone like for the weird smell in their house. And he's doing it for views and content. And it's like, where's the line between like, is this okay or is this not okay? Like,
yeah, that sounds like a little too. As you're explaining it to me, I'm over here like this all sounds very unnecessary.
Very unnecessary.
Like how far do you go?
People are just doing stuff like this for views and content. Like,
the ones that I have seen have been lighthearted, like people like, oh, Jeffrey Dahmer would have run into the wrong person, and it's just people pretending to beat him up and get away with it. Those I get a little chuckle out of them, but I haven't seen anything like this. That sounds concerning to me. Like the amount of things that people do nowadays for fame and clout and views is ridiculous.
I did see one meme that, honestly, unfortunately, I like chuckled when I saw it because like it was just one of those, you can't help it. It was the scene because the guy who played Jeffrey Dahmer's father in the show is the same father from Step Brothers. If everyone listening and watching has seen Step Brothers, I don't know the actor's name, but it was the same guy. So the meme is a picture of it's a scene from Step Brothers where the mom and dad are in bed, and remember that scene where he's like, "Dale, no power tools."
Yeah.
And it's him saying, "Jeff, no power tools."
No.
Like yelling to the other room. And like, I don't know how people come up with that. I mean, it's clever, but it's like, imagine being like a family member of someone who was involved in that. And you see these things, and it's like people are making a mockery of what, like the worst thing that can possibly happen in someone's life. So I don't know, like, what's okay and what's not okay. There's a fine line somewhere.
It's weird, right? Yeah. Somebody made a meme of it for me yesterday, and it was like the TV scene where he's like, "We're just gonna watch a movie and then you can leave," and they put me on the TV, and they were like, "We're just gonna watch it on Diva's watch along," and I was like, "Why did I just laugh at this? This is so wrong." It's some of them are lighthearted, and you get laugh out of it, but I've seen some that I'm like, that's in very poor taste.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, they did make a show out of it to show, like, to kind of relay what happened. So there's probably people watching this that, like, for example, for me, who didn't know anything about him, who didn't know at first, like, when, there's different shows where they say based on true events, and they're not really based on the actual event. It's just like clips. So, like, going into it, not knowing about him, I didn't know fully if this is exactly what happened. So when I started doing my research, I was like, oh my God, like a lot of this did happen. So there's a fine line of consuming content and enjoying it. Roman.
Yes.
There's a fine line of enjoying the content, but then like knowing that this actually happened to people, and it's devastating,
Right, right. Yeah, no, I agree. I just like, and that's why I haven't gone down that rabbit hole on TikTok quite yet.
Yeah.
It's been showing up on my YouTube recommended some things because I watched a couple of things, like just a couple of reviews from people that,
Yeah.
did documentaries before, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because it's just like,
I
it's
agree.
weird. Mm-hmm.
On a lighter note, I did start watching a new show on Hulu that I didn't hear anything about, and then I saw like a commercial for it, and I asked some friends, and they're like, apparently it's really good. So I started watching it. It's called Reboot.
Okay.
It's on Hulu, and I don't know if you've ever seen the show Modern Family, but
Yes.
it's from the creator of Modern Family.
Okay.
So it's gonna have that kind of like comedy. There's a bunch of I believe his name is I don't know. I don't want to get the actor's name wrong, but it's a star-studded cast. It's basically a show. It's a show where there was a classic back in the day show that they're trying to revive. And it kind of shows like a backstage view of like creating a show on Hulu where they go back in time they take a classic show that did really, really well and they want to reboot it. And it's about all the actors and them trying to like make the show modern and, different things like that, where you have the same idea of Modern Family where they're just, living in that realm, I guess. And it's hysterical. It's hysterical.
That sounds like fun. I might have to check that out, especially with I always have like this weird thing about modern day creativity and how much it's lacking because we're just rebooting things from like the 90s and you're just killing a show that used to be really good by just remaking it. So I can't wait to see this.
Johnny Knoxville, I know, is one of the main characters. I believe it's Keegan. Was it Keegan Michael K or Key is another one. When you see the cast, you'll know every single person. Like it's just.
Oh, that's exciting! I always love that too. It helps with the viewing experience when you know who's playing who. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's a good comedy. It's not like too much. It's not like obnoxious comedy. It's like a fine line of like this is actually really enjoyable. So I recommend that to anybody.
I'll put it on my list.
Yeah. So I guess we can go back. Or is there any other shows or anything you want to discuss or?
No, that's all I got to this weekend.
Cool. So let's jump back into some of these headlines. And this one, honestly, is my favorite one. I thought it was the funniest one of the week so far. So everybody knows who Taylor Lautner is. If you don't know who he is, obviously he's one of those teen heartthrobs. You've seen him in Teen Wolf and other different movies. He is engaged to a woman, or she's a nurse actually as well. Her name is Taylor. So when they get married, they're both going to be Taylor Lautner.
You love to see it.
So everybody loved Taylor Lautner, and now you get a second one. So what do you think? What do you think about this topic? But then again, I want to hear your idea. If this was you, like if you were in this position and you were marrying someone with the same, you have the same name. What do you do?
All right, so maybe this is a culture thing, and here's like my culture 101 is when we get married, we don't take last names. So in Puerto Rico, we use two last names, right? We use my father and then mom's last name. So I already feel weird about taking anybody's last name. I'm like, nobody's good enough to replace my dad's last name, like
Hell yeah.
So I always been against that. I don't like somebody losing their whole personality or who they are just because they get married. Like I said, maybe I'm too modern that I was talking about different houses. Now I'm talking about keeping the last name. Maybe that's why I just don't want to get married.
You're starting
but
a new way.
Yeah, even in my culture, we don't do that. So people always like, you guys have like 4 names, and it's because we use 2 last names here. We never lose the maternal side of things. So yeah, I wouldn't take anybody's last name personally. But I love this story when I saw it. And I know we were talking about Big Brother recently. There was a little bit of a showman in Big Brother. And the guy's name was Monty Taylor. And then the winner, her name was Taylor. So people were like, imagine they get married. Is she going to become Taylor?
Oh, man.
So it's like, I always thought that was funny with the whole taking somebody's last names and what that can turn into. But as soon as I saw he was engaged to a Taylor, I remember thinking that she has to take his last name. Like, it would just be so clever.
And I think it's spelled the same way. I don't know if there's other ways of spelling Taylor.
It is.
But it's spelled the exact same way. She goes by Tay. So I don't know. It's not, on paper, they're going to have the same name, but they don't. She's not actually called Taylor. Like Tay is her.
Tay and Taylor Lautner.
Yeah, that's the name they use in the article. But like, my name is Joey. Hello, everyone. But like, if I found like a partner whose name was Joey as well, like if I was getting married and my wife's name was going to be Joey, or some sort of reference to Joey, I don't know how that would like. All right, I'll be Joe, you be Joey, you be Joe. You know, like how do you come up with the nicknames? Like, I don't know.
I think it's clever. I like it, and she goes by Tay. So I mean, I'm sure there'll be some kind of difference, but I find it quite ironic. As soon as you told me about the headline, I already knew what you were talking about because I just remember.
She writes her name like Tay squared, like Taylor squared.
It would be fun for I wonder what they're gonna name the kids. Are the kids all gonna be Taylors too?
Oh man, I
have one kid and name it Taylor, and the entire family is Taylor Lautner.
Can we have Taylor Lautner, and Taylor Lautner, please? Like, oh man.
Or you said Taylor, and everybody in the house goes yes.
If that's the case, they deserve a TV show. Like if that's like a reality TV show where they're all Taylor.
But do you name it the Taylors or the Lautners?
the Taylor Lautners.
I think it's cute. I love it.
Oh man, no, I that one I enjoyed reading.
Were you Team Jacob or Team Edward?
Okay, so I wasn't necessarily into all of that, like.
Oh no.
Vampire.
Well, I was.
Teen blood.
You still gotta pick one. Were you Team Jacob? Like, were you Team Werewolf or Vampire?
I think I was Team Vampire.
Okay. So was I. So good. I was Team
At least a lot of I remember a lot of like the girls in my group in like high school and middle school when those movies were like a huge thing. Mm-hmm. They would like fight with each other, like, oh, this is the werewolf, and we have to go see the movie. And I'm like, what?
At midnight. Yeah, I was one of the midnight Twilight people, but I was obsessed with the books. I read those books. I was so obsessed with those books that I read them literally, and I'm embarrassed to admit this out loud. If I would stop at a red light, I would pull it up and read it. Wow.
Oh, I did that with with Harry Potter, so I get it. Like.
Oh my God. I haven't read Harry Potter books ever.
Really?
A lot of people suggest them to me. Yeah. The Twilight and the Hunger Games were the two last series that I just remember really getting into and like feeling moved and emotions. But Twilight was something. That was something. And now you go back and watch it and you're like, why did I like this? This is so lame. This is like the most toxic relationship I've ever seen. And I was over here rooting for them to be together.
Yeah. No, I just remember everybody saying like Team Taylor or Team, like Wolf and Vampire.
Team Edward, Team Jacob. Yeah.
Yes, Edward and Jacob. And I was like, I'm going with the majority. So like I go like where everybody else goes. I know nothing about this. So that's kind of just where I landed.
I was Team Edward at the time. I don't know that I will feel the same way now, but man, those were some weird times.
Weird times, exactly. All right. So the last topic that I found for today, again, they're all funny, and I always say they're funny because this is just comical. So we know in LA there's obviously issues with water, there's droughts, whatnot. They don't get a lot of rain there. So LA is restricting water flow to homes because they don't want people obviously to use more than they should. So there's some sort of gadget or something they put on the pipes to kind of limit the water usage. And they started doing this with celebrity mansions. To kind of dive deep into this, I know they one of the names they added to the list was Kevin Hart. They did that to his home. And now some celebrities are starting to complain about that. Like why, the town's saying everyone has to be treated the same. Celebrities are saying, well, we're not the same. So there's some sort of debate going on with these. But what I thought was really like, I don't know, it was weird because first off, mansions and celebrity homes are typically bigger and more expensive, obviously, than, the average homes around. So I can only imagine how many bathrooms and how many sinks Kevin Hart has in his house. So how do you limit that?
Hear me out. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate here, right?
Exactly.
But even what we were discussing, that Netflix show that I was watching, do you realize how many of these mansions are sitting there empty with nobody utilizing any water because these rich people just have houses everywhere around, like where they're at the most? So while Kevin Hart might be using way more gallons than what he should, you might have 3 mansions right next to him that nobody's living at, or just their security people are there at the moment because they're not home. Like, I hate to bring him up, but Jeffree Star just, like, I think he just sold that. It was a castle. That thing wasn't even a mansion. It was a castle.
Yeah.
But he's been living in Wisconsin for like the last year. So that, like, in LA, I feel like half of this real estate is they're probably using way too much water, right? Because that's just how they live. But at the same time, I also do feel like a lot of these mansions are just sitting there empty, waiting for these people to be there for a week out of the month.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes even if like they have these mansions, it's like 1 or 2 people who are just there, like very minimal like usage of water. So no, I honestly agree that like everybody should be held to the same standard regardless of, you know.
Now, should you be filling up a pool right now? Probably not, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. But like, I don't know what, like, maybe their like their usage there is like typical for us, like here or where you are. So it's like, I don't know what the limit
we go through droughts in Puerto Rico, and here they don't mess around. They just cut the water off for like everybody for a certain period of time, and it's just like whether you're rich or not, you're just gonna have to deal with it. That's just the way to do it. I don't know. I don't know how you limit. You know, I don't understand how you get away with that. But I can see somebody that just like, if you paid the amount of money that these people are paying for that real estate, do you really want to be limited to 10 gallons per day? No, you know?
No, I have my parents live in New Jersey, and in their town over the summer, I remember they got a notice saying that there was obviously issues with rain and there was a drought. And they are limited to like, don't wash the cars, don't, water the grass, do all that stuff, like limit your water usage. So it's definitely an issue that's been going on everywhere. But they're like literally going into these, I don't know what you call it, like the water pipes into homes and putting these things on to restrict the usage of water. So I don't know. It's
I mean, if they're going that extreme about it, then I do wonder a little bit, are they really using that much water that they feel they need to go in and do that? Then that must be something, because you do have your meters. Obviously, somebody has to be keeping track of the usage. So yeah, I do wonder if some people are abusing it. But at the same time, like I said, a lot of these houses are purchased for people that have houses everywhere and I'm not there like half of the year.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I definitely, I agree with it. I think they should, especially when there's issues with, droughts and whatever the case may be. So yeah, I think it's definitely useful and better for the environment. So why not let the celebrities complain, I guess. It's honestly, think about like the names like that would come out, like if Kevin Hart was to complain about his water usage, like it's not a good look.
When you told me that, I was thinking, I'm like, what happens when all these like Calabasas celebrities are going to start strike? And they're going to be walking down like, give us our water back. And it's just like the Kardashians giving home.
Signs.
With their little signs.
Oh, man.
Oh, actually, no, I want to see it.
Coming up on season 3 of the Kardashians, like there's on strike, like we want our water.
But that's the thing. If hear me out. If I have the money that they have and that's happening, I go to one of my other houses somewhere else in the world and I use all the water that I want there. Like, come on.
They don't. I don't think they live like in one specific location. Like they may have a
no, they don't. Yeah,
but they're all over the place.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But that's all the topics that I found for today. In a kind of a recap, what was the topic that I don't know you thought was the funniest or your favorite? Like, do you have any?
No, I'm not gonna get over the fisherman. That was incredible. I'm gonna look up this article when we get done, and I'm gonna read more about it. I thought that was freaking funny.
Yeah, honestly, that was my favorite too. I like I said before, I did like the Taylor Lautner marrying Taylor Lautner thing. That I've seen that one before, but now I guess because they had it's like now they're getting married, so it's in the news again. But the fisherman one was definitely fits the criteria of this show.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does, for sure.
And I see that there was some chats here. Eric Douglas wrote to you, Issa. He wrote,
hi, Eric.
Issa, what if Joe Gacy Issa,
I think he
what
means it's the rabbit.
is
The white rabbit. I would turn the TV off right then and there.
Oh man, I wish we can discuss that so badly. I want to, but
listen, I know we only talk pop culture here, but I gotta tell you, they have struck gold with the way that they're marketing this white rabbit thing.
So
and I
good.
think a lot of more people need to take advantage of this because I'm so invested and I have so much fun. And yeah, I think WWE is doing something really, really. I love all the Easter eggs. Like I feel like a little citizen detective every week when I tune in to watch wrestling. And low key, I don't want it to end. There's some rumors that it's ending soon. I don't want it to end.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember tweeting when I was watching Raw about like my eyes are glued to the screen everywhere. Like I'm looking for these QR codes everywhere.
I was doing a watch along yesterday, and I'm watching it on live, right? Like I don't have DVR to rewind, and you can see how visually mad I got that I missed it, and I'm tweeting like somebody sent me the QR code, and I'm like, am I really that invested in this? And I just got mad. I couldn't I'm gonna watch Raw like this the entire time just so that it flashes.
I'm watching. I'm like, where is it?
It's good stuff. I don't know if we'll see who's involved. There's a lot of rumors that it may be Bray Wyatt. Whoever it is, they're just doing such an excellent job. And I feel like more people should capitalize on this. It's like an interactive thing with your audience.
Exactly. And it's
incredible.
Barely them doing anything. They're literally using a QR code and the world is going mad. And I did have, obviously, I think it's Bray Wyatt. I don't want to get too much into this, but I think it's Bray Wyatt. But if not, there's another option because I read an article that
there is no other option, Joey.
They said that it could be somebody that no one's talking about. And I thought, what if it's like some sort of thing to bring back Charlotte Flair? Like some crazy thing that makes no sense. And then it's like her coming back and she's like, I just want to get your attention.
I can't believe you take it back. You just put that out into the universe.
I'm taking it back. It's rewind. It's Bray Wyatt. Or Wyndham Rotunda. Whoever it is, it's Wyndham Rotunda.
Yeah, anyways, regardless, I just feel like more companies should capitalize on this and the way that they have gotten the audience to interact with it. It's just been an incredible journey. I hope they don't mess it up in the long term, though.
I think a lot of, like, I know this is like wrestling, but like, I think a lot of TV shows can do that too. Like where you're watching a show and, or like even like Survivor or whatever the case may be. And a QR code pops up.
Survivor does it, but it's more of you scan the QR code and it takes you to a website where you can try to figure out one of the puzzles, like kind of like what the people are doing in the island. Yeah, Survivor does a little interactive thing.
Yeah, so I think that could be a cool thing for TV shows, like to do merch or different things, like get a sneak peek, find the QR code to see next week's sneak peek or something, something like that, like where it can be interactive.
There's gotta be some kind of way where you can use it where you're solving a mystery, because that's what this feels like. And the best part is, like, I feel like 99% of us think we know who it is, and it's probably gonna end up being who we think, but it still doesn't make you be any less invested in it.
Exactly. And it's just exciting.
Again, it's something about the creative mind of this man. Like, he did it with the Firefly Funhouse too. I remember those video packages. The first time I saw one, I was like, what is this? And then by the end of it, I was so invested. And when he showed up as the Fiend, and that's what I meant when I said I hope they don't mess it up in the long run, because I was so invested into Bray Wyatt at that point, and I feel there again. I don't need another Bray Wyatt heartbreak.
No,
We've gone through too many of those.
I don't think anybody. Exactly. So many. And he just keeps coming back. So hopefully it's him. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in, listening, and commenting. This is always a fun show. I said it to you last week. Issa, it's a great, I know we just talked about wrestling a little bit, but it's a great like outlet away from pro wrestling, from our normal day to day. So to get those guilty pleasures of pop culture, celebrity nonsense. Like it's fun just to sit down with you and chat. So thank you again for another great week, and for everyone listening and watching. Issa, where can everybody find you and listen to you and follow?
Everybody can find me on NYC Diva on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm all over the place. You guys can also find me on Wrestling Inc. I do the Wrestling podcast, obviously here on Tuesdays. Also, Lucha Libre Online if you want to see me do some interviews in Spanish.
Awesome. And yes, you can see my handle there. That's my other Twitter account, Joey Karni. But I do focus my time on the Angle or at the Angle Radio, all wrestling content based there, all different things, pro wrestling. So again, Everyone listening, watching, and doing all those great things in the chat, thank you for tuning in. Isa, another great week. Thank you. And we will see you next week.